What's going on, guys? Ahoy here, and in this video I want to share my thoughts of why I think that regulation is coming to the crypto space, and it's not a matter of if but a matter of when. But before we jump right in, just real quick, guys, if you guys get value out of this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and also hit the bell so you never miss another video, another update. Let's jump right in. Crypto in general hasn't been looking very good in the eyes of the law and of the government lately. And with this problem here, with this scandal, they just made things look worse, okay? They just made matters worse. But let me just quickly read this article, and it says, Binance chief Changpeng Zhao pleaded guilty Tuesday to criminal charges and stepped down as the company CEO as part of a $4.3 billion settlement with the Department of Justice, according to court documents. Okay, let me just scroll down here because I think this is the part that for me, it kind of signals regulation coming. Okay, it says the action against Binance and its founder was a joint effort by the Department of Justice, Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and the Treasury Department. Okay, so basically the government here is getting involved on pretty much going against Binance on his actions here. But one thing that I did find funny, okay, is that it says here, where I highlighted in yellow, it says the Securities and Exchange Commission, aka the SEC, was notably absent. So basically, they were supposed to be there, but they weren't, which kind of makes me think, like, question as why were they not involved? Which they should have been, but they're not. Maybe we might hear from them later on in the future, but I just find this to be very interesting that they were not involved here. The Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen also mentioned that there was like 100,000 transactions supporting activities such as terrorism and illegal narcotics, and it allowed more than 1 million virtual currency trades that violated the US sanctions. So basically there was just a lot of illegal transactions or activities linked or connected to Binance. So with all of this right here, and also getting the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and Treasury Departments, pretty much the government involved here. And also, if we were to kind of like zoom out a little bit and look back of other things that has occurred as well in the crypto space, which is, FTX, we had this problem right here. And on top of this, if we also wanted to add Terra Luna from the failed stablecoin project, it was just a huge failed. A lot of people lost their money as well. So we were to add all of these stuff here that has occurred. It's just not painting a good picture of the crypto space because there's just simply a lot of bad actors. And I also did a poll about like 2 months ago here on my community page on YouTube, and I asked, do you want regulations for crypto pre-sales, aka ICOs, to mitigate fraud or no? And about 70% of people that voted here, which there's a total of 45 votes, they voted yes. They wanted some regulations for ICOs, and only 30% or so said no. So here's my take when it comes to regulations, okay? You can't have your cake and eat it too. With Bitcoin, it was created to be independent from financial institutions. That was the whole purpose of cryptocurrency. After the 2008 crash, the mortgage crash, the bubble, the housing bubble, and all that stuff happened, crypto, Bitcoin was created, okay? But the intention was not to become a type of investment like a stock or a security. It was to be used as an alternative currency, all right? As a digital currency, instead of using fiat or the dollar, you were able to use Bitcoin to make purchases, to use it as a currency and not as a security. But the problem is that after the creation of Ethereum, they also created smart contracts, and that opened the door for like Pandora's box, I would say. That allowed a lot of people to create coins without having to build a blockchain from scratch, and that also brought some potential problems, which is a lot of pre-sales. With pre-sales, there's people that have good intentions, yes, of course, but there are also bad actors that take advantage of it, and then we end up with rug pulls. We end up, people losing a lot of money, not because of lack of due diligence or like lack of research, is simply because the intention of those, the owners of those pre-sales and tokens were not good in the first place. And some, when they saw problems, they just ignored it. Like FTX, they saw problems and they didn't do nothing about it. They just kept going on. They, would give the word that their stable coin, the projects was stable, that nothing was going to happen wrong because the system they created was supposed to, I guess, prevent that from happening and telling their investors not to worry. But at the end, everything just crashed. Everything just collapsed down. And that's why I think that having regulations can mitigate that, but it comes at a cost, which is letting go of the freedom of using a different currency that is not linked to the government or to any financial institution. All right, which was the intention of Bitcoin. So now it's like we need to make a choice. Either if we want to mitigate fraud in the crypto space, then do we need regulation for that to happen to mitigate those frauds? Or do we want crypto to still stay in the Wild West where there's no regulation, right? And is not linked, or it's not going to be under any government. It's not going to be under any financial institution. You're going to be free to use crypto to do any transactions, but there's the risk of having, rug pulls. There's going to be the risk of a lot of fraud. There's going to be risk of losing your money much higher than if it were to be regulated. So we need to choose, what path do we want to go? Do we want regulations or no regulations? And based here on this poll that I did, most people prefer regulations. And I think it's because, at least in the pre-sale space, with a lot of meme tokens, altcoins, there has been just a lot of rug pulling, a lot of dumping, a lot of pump and dumps. There's like so many tokens. I forgot how many there are, but if you go to like CoinMarketCap, we can see it here that right now in cryptos, there's over 2 million tokens. And this number is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And a lot of these tokens, all right, there's just a lot of meme or altcoins, right? With no real projects, no real utility. It's just what it is. And a lot of those end up being pump and dumps, or maybe it ends up being a rug pull, or ends up being, like a scam and stuff like that. So it's just really, really bad to have those things here in the crypto space. Now, those small rug pulls are not really you don't really hear them a lot. The only things that really hits the news are things like this, okay? These are the things that really hits the news, like big exchanges, right? Those are the ones that hit the news. But if we were to take into account not just the big ones here, all these issues that we see in the crypto space, but if we were to take into account all the small ones, okay? Because here in this channel, I cover a lot of like ICOs and pre-sales. So what I see when I do like research, or when I like investigate a little bit, I see that, there's just a lot of pump and dumps. The graphs, if you were to compare the graphs of all the pre-sales that you participated or that you have seen, look at them, what they were 1 year ago, or or just wait like a year from the launch date, wait 12 months later, and then look at the graph again. Is usually high in the beginning, and then it just goes all the way straight down. And one way to combat that is to add regulations. Basically, that would mean that before any of these cryptos ICOs take place, they need to be an established business. Maybe they're going to be treated as stocks. So they have to go through a lot more of a vetting process before they can even launch an ICO. And I think that could probably mitigate fraud, and that will be part of the regulation. I would believe so, right? But most of these pre-sales, they don't want that process because it is more time consuming. It requires more documents, more transparency, and it would mean that if something goes wrong, they're going to be held accountable. There's going to be accountability. And the way how crypto is right now, they can basically get away with it because it's the Wild West. They can just launch a token, do an ICO, pump and dump, blame it on the market, or blame it on somebody, or blame it on anything, right, but themselves. And they can just do another one, right? They can go ahead and create a new pre-sale and repeat the whole process again and again and again, multiple times in a year. So there you guys go. Those are just my 2 cents here. I could be wrong of all of this, but this is just what I think, that, we need to choose. We can have the cake, and we can have our cake and eat it too. We have to choose, where do we want crypto, the whole entire space, where do we want it to go, including pre-sales, ICOs? Do we want regulations or not? If we get regulations, then it's not going to be free as Bitcoin intended to be since its creation, free from the financial institutions and government. But if we go with regulations, we're going to have to trade that off, but we're going to at least have some sort of control and mitigate, a lot of fraud. It may not be mitigated 100%, of course, but it can be mitigated greatly. So there you guys go. Share your thoughts down below. What do you guys think? And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.